One of the more valuable lessons that minimalism has taught me over the years is the value of quality over quantity and investing in things that are designed to last. It's that idea that if you buy the right thing, you'll only need to buy it once rather than having to replace it year after year. So today I want to share with you 10 things that I've owned for years. These are things that have stood the test of time for me and continue to add value. A little disclaimer with this, I am still in my 20s, so there aren't that many items here that I've owned for over 10 years, although there are a few that I'll share with you. But there are a lot of things, and I've had to group some of them together in that 5 to 10 year range that I've loved for a long time and plan to continue to keep and to cherish for years to come. So getting into this, the first item that I've owned for, I believe it's 6 years now, is my black backpack from ISM. I feel like this is such a great example of investing in something that's designed to last. ISM's backpacks are on the pricier side for sure, but they are so for a reason. The quality of them is incredible, and they come with a lifetime warranty where they'll either fix or replace any damage that comes to the structural components of the bag. I've quite literally traveled all over the world with that bag. It's been to New Zealand, to Greece, to Ireland, but it also sees weekly, if not daily use as well. And 6 years in, it still looks incredible. There's a couple small scuffs that it's picked up over the years, which is only natural, but it's still in fantastic condition. It's so functional and something that I hope to use for the rest of my life. It's sleek, it's simple, it's so thoughtfully designed and really made in such a way that I don't really need to worry about it wearing out. Then let's chat kind of a category of things that I've owned for years, and that's kitchen accessories. I have a set of just basic stainless steel mixing bowls that I've owned for, I think, 10 years. My favorite spatula, I think I've owned that long as well. I have a number of serving spoons, measuring cups, measuring spoons that I've owned for, that 6 to 10 year range. With kitchen bits, I feel like you often have 3 basic categories of utensils and accessories. You have the cheaply made stuff that's inexpensive but isn't designed to last, quality items that aren't the most aesthetic but will last you for years, and then you have the pretty things that have the price tag of quality but aren't necessarily going to last as long or to be as functional. Especially when it comes to really practical items like kitchen utensils, mixing bowls, measuring spoons. Those are things that I really try to focus on when I need to buy something, buying in that middle category where it's quality. Who cares if it looks pretty, but it's something that's going to work well, it's designed to last. Really with that idea in mind that I only want to have to buy these things once. So over the years, I've been able to get so much use out of these items so that now, almost a decade later, they're still going strong. And the same can't be said for items that I bought cheaper versions of. I've had to replace them. And same thing with some of the pretty bits. I've had to replace those as well just because they stained, they tarnished, they were beautiful, but they didn't have the quality behind it to really make them stand the test of time. Then another category of items that I've owned for years is plants. I think the plant that I've owned the longest is my massive Monstera plant. I think I've had it for about 7 years now. I got it shortly after we moved to Charlotte. It's just crazy how much it's grown in that time. But most of the plants I have in our house now, I've owned for at least 3 years. Now I did used to have a lot more. I've kind of whittled down my collection a bit over the years, and it's actually really fun. I've given a lot to friends, so it's cool when I go visit their houses. I can kind of see some of the plants that I've bequeathed to them. They're just living their best lives in other homes. But these days I've really tried to focus on keeping my favorites, the best of the best, if you will. So I have my Monstera, a couple snake plants, philodendrons, Swiss cheese plant, and a handful of others. I'm talking about things that really have that longevity to them. The oldest plant I own, not the one that I've had the longest, but the oldest plant is actually a propagation from an over 100-year-old Tradescantia plant. I believe it came from my husband's great-great-grandmother, so really cool just to be able to kind of keep a piece of history alive in a way. Then I guess a little honorable mention that I'll add in here too is I've been using the same watering can for 6 or 7 years. I think I got it around the same time as that Monstera. It's metal, so it's really sturdy. It has a nice thin spout, which is great for controlling the water flow. It's really served me well. Okay, then let's talk clothing. I feel like this is a bit of a tricky category because clothing is one of the things that we use most often and thus tends to wear out the most quickly. There are a handful of items that I have owned for over 5 years now. I have a slouchy black cardigan. It's originally from Urban Outfitters. I actually thrifted it though, that I've owned for 8 years now. The style of it was called the Parker cardigan, and I honestly love it so much that I've tried finding it in other colors secondhand. It really is just the coziest thing to throw on. I especially love it for the fall, the spring, those transitional seasons. I also have I think the print is called Fair Isle sweater that I thrifted. I think it was 5 years ago. It's 100% wool, amazing quality. Then I have a handful of cashmere sweaters. Same thing, I've owned them for 5 or 6 years now. That's the nice thing about sweaters. They tend to be made out of thicker, more durable materials than some of your spring or summer items. And so I feel like you can keep them for a lot longer. Then just one other piece that I want to highlight too, the clothing item that I'm pretty sure that I've owned the longest is my pair of Roots Canada sweatpants. I got them when I was 16 years old for Christmas, so I think that's 12 years now. They really just are a true staple in my cozy loungewear wardrobe. But then going back to the kitchen, another category of items that I've owned for a long time, some of our kitchen appliances. There are a number of items that my husband and I got right around when we got married. Some we got a bit before, some a bit after, but we've had them for years and they're still going strong. Our rice cooker is one of them. We've owned that for 8, almost 9 years now. Our crock pot, blender, toaster oven, we've owned those for all kind of about the same amount of time. And with these, I will say we do have plans to replace a few of them in the not too distant future. Our toaster oven is still functional, but kind of barely. It's definitely seen better days. The buttons have all rubbed off and it just takes up a lot of space in the kitchen, so I have considered replacing that. Would love to get something that's just maybe a bit more quality. The same thing with our blender. It's served us well, but it's kind of on its last legs at this point. But our rice cooker, our crock pot are still growing strong, so planning to use them as long as we can. But realistically, with kitchen appliances, I feel like so long as you can get 5 years of solid use out of an item, you're doing pretty well. So the fact that we've made it 8 with all of these, I love, and it's really exciting to me even that we're going to be able to use at least a handful of those for hopefully a lot more time to come. Okay, but then let's talk books. I'm a big reader and there are several books in my collection that I've owned for 5+ years. I think probably the one that I've owned the longest is my Bible. My parents gave it to me as a gift over a decade ago. It's really special. It's embossed with my name. So I love that. It just holds a very special place in my heart. But then there are a number of others that I've owned for 5+ years as well. Really try to focus on only keeping books that I intend to reread. And so the books that I have is really kind of a collection of the best things that I really enjoyed and that I hope to be able to, come back to in future years. So some of it's fiction, some of it's reference books, but really I just try to think through when I'm curating my book collection, what is it that I'm going to come back to and to want to read and to reread. Then let's talk shoes. I feel like most shoes just aren't designed to last. You'll get maybe a season, a few seasons from them, but I feel like anytime you own a pair of shoes for more than 3 or 4 years, either you just don't wear them very often, so they aren't providing a lot of use or value to you, or the quality on them is special. They're designed to last. I don't really have any shoes in that first category because that just doesn't really work well with the minimalist in me. However, I do have a couple of shoes in that second category that I've owned for over 5 years now. And those are my shoes from Nasola. If you've been around for a while, you've probably heard me talk about my Nasola shoes before. I have a pair of boots from them that I've owned for over 5 years now, a pair of mules, the exact same. They're beautiful, their quality, I can wear them time and time again, and they really show very minimal signs of wear. Those were kind of my entry point into the brand. I've since picked up a couple more pairs of boots, a pair of sandals. They're my absolute go-tos, but I love the comfort, the construction of them, the fact that they're beautifully designed. Like each shoe really is kind of a work of art. And they're the only shoes that I've come across that can take 5+ years of consistent, solid use and still look amazing. Now 5 years in, there are some minor signs of wear. One of the inner elastics on my Chelsea boots is slightly stretched out. It really isn't very noticeable, but there's that. There's a handful of small scuff marks, but with the amount of use that I've gotten out of them, they really have just held up so well. But let's talk sentimental items. I think sentimental bits, by their very nature, tend to be things that we hold on to for years. They're those precious items that we want to take with us as we go through life. So of course, I do have a handful of those, many of which I display around our house, whether that's pictures from our wedding or artwork that we picked up from various travels. But I do also have just a handful of other items stored away too, and I love being able to just every so often pull some of those things back out and just to reminisce a bit. Some of those things are as old as I am, so I guess I've had them for 28 years now. That's crazy to think about, but I also think it'll be really special, maybe even a few years from now too, being able to take our son Oliver through some of those bits and just to share some of my memories of growing up with him as well. I think that's really kind of the cool thing and the magic about sentimental items, especially when you keep only like the best of the best of the sentimental bits, is you really are just transported to a specific time, a specific place, and just are able to kind of relive certain memories when you see whether it's a picture or, you know, maybe a little physical bit. Along the lines of sentimental bits, I also want to call out a really special furniture piece that Christopher made for me when we were engaged, and that's this wood chest. It's not necessarily the most beautiful or aesthetic piece. Honestly, Christopher's come a really long ways in his woodworking, so he could probably make something way more beautiful, whatever, today. But it's really special to me because of the season of life that he made it for me in. You know, nothing can replace that, and so on top of just serving as a really sweet memory whenever I look at it, it's also what I choose to store our sentimental items in. I think it's really sweet to have just a handful of things in your home like that really just have so much meaning and significance behind them. All right, then the last category that I want to touch on is our artwork. A lot of the paintings that you'll see around our house are at least 5, if not 10 or more years old. For those of you who may not know, my husband Christopher is an artist, and so he's painted a lot of the various pieces of art that you'll see around the house. Some of them he's painted of various trips that we've been on together. One of them in particular, this Eiffel Tower one, which, can you believe he did this with just Sharpies? But he gave this to me as a present when we were dating. And obviously he's super talented, but I've loved just being able to display some of his artwork in our house over the years, and just to be able to, whenever I look at some of his pictures, just be reminded of adventures that we've been on, memories that we've made. And I think there is something just really beautiful and personal feeling about displaying art that you or a loved one created. All right, well, I know that this ended up being way more than 10 items, but I really hope that this can help give you a picture of some of the items that have really had staying power for me, whether because they're sentimental, they have special memories attached and associated with them, or they're just really durable, well-made, quality items that I've been able to buy once and that hopefully will last a lifetime for me. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are some of the things that you've owned for 5 years, 10 years, or maybe even longer? I'd love to hear what some of those items are, so be sure to let me know in the comments below. That's everything I have for you today, so thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you all again very soon. Bye, friends.